Greetings and salutations. Welcome to Knife Chats with Tobias. Well, what we got here are a bunch of knives that really don't get as much love on the channel as they should, considering these are some of my favorite knives. And these knives are usually kept in a different location than all the other knives that I usually show on the when I do a tour of the Cutlery Cavern. And so what I thought I would do now is, well, show you these knives that are in a bin. Now, most of these are, like I said, displayed somewhere else. They have been shown on occasion, but not too often. So what I'm going to do is show them now. So hold on and let's get started. Well, first up are the GEC knives I have. I've only got 8. Most of the, what's the latest one? I think 2019 maybe, 2019. One from 2020, 2 from 2020. Yeah, basically, I stopped collecting them in 2020 because they became too difficult to get. All of these were relatively easy to pick up back in 2019, 2020. That's when I actually started getting them. Oh, no. Yeah, I've got one from 2017, but that was a gift. 2018, that was when I started. 2018 was when I basically started getting them, somewhere around there. So I only collected them for a very short time because, well, if you're familiar with them, especially now, they make a select number of them. They hit the, by the time you get notified that they're in stock at a store, they are already sold out, and then they end up on the secondary market at double the price, and I'm not willing to do that. I'm just not going to pay that kind of money for it, but a lot of people do. But in any case, actually this is, I think, the very first one I ever picked up, this one right here, and this is right here, the Templar, the Caribbean acrylic. There was one in blue and one in red. I wish I'd have picked them both up. It is basically a mini Coke bottle, and it's in a barn door hinge pattern, and that's really what attracted me to it, that it was a barn door hinge knife. 1095 carbon steel blade, and you see the edge there, boom, right there. So really nice knife. I have carried it a couple times, but the most it's ever cut is maybe a couple sheets of paper or something like that. The next one right here, again, it's a GEC, but you can see that it is the Beavertail through Toothpick Cutlery traditional sportsman's knife, and this is in the Jig Brazilian Cherry, and it is, what do they call it? The Allegheny, but it's basically a Coke bottle. And we can see there, you got the beaver shield. That is the whole reason I picked it up. I just really like that beaver shield, and wonderful clip blade going on. Really beautiful knife. I really like the Coke bottles out there. So I like a Coke bottle, but Coke bottles are always expensive, way too expensive in my opinion, but people buy them, so they're always going to remain expensive because people pay that price for them. All right, there, Beavertail. And that was actually an early name that they gave to Coke bottle knives because of the shape of the handle. It was known as a Beavertail, especially if it was a bear head. If this was a bear head knife, it would have been known as a Beavertail. Typically the ones that had a cap on the end here, that would have been known as a violin knife. The knives date from like the 1830s, so long before Coca-Cola came around. They started calling these knives a Coca-Cola knife or a Coke bottle knife in the 1920s or so. Before then, they were a swell center jack or something of that nature. Definitely a good old-fashioned hunting knife. So, and then we got the little one here too. Both of them are basically a swell center jack, but this one is kind of small for a jackknife. So those two, and then a third one here that is outside of the tube is the Northfield Unexcelled, and this one is the Toothpick and Sandbar Stag. And this is one that I often carry and have shown on the channel quite a few times. This is that sheath that J.O. Ventures made, or I'm sorry, slip that J.O. Ventures made. And I'm trying to form fit this knife into it, so I've been shoving it in there to carry it and stuff. And not a big slip person, but I'm going to try it for a bit. In any case, here's the Toothpick and Stag. And I've mentioned before that I wasn't really crazy about the Stag on this knife. It did not look very good at all. I don't know if you can see right up at the top there, but if you run your blade here, finger here, it will definitely catch on the very tip of the blade. So I like the knife, but it did have some perfections in it. So and this was, you know, bought from a reputable dealer, but still not the world's perfect knife. Good centering though. So, well, might favor the front a little bit, but all in all, I would not complain about it. And I do like this one, and I do carry it. So this is one of my everyday carry knives. So I do have another Toothpick. Now, most people would have probably saved the Stag and carried the bone one, but I didn't go that way. Is this it, or which one is it? I think this is it. Yeah, this is the other Toothpick. And this is the Copperhead Pony Cut bone. But it's a Toothpick. What I like about the Toothpick is it's really good for, you know, the powder horn is really good for opening these tubes. So here we go with this one. And I actually like the way this one looks even better. I do carry it occasionally, but not too often. So here we go. It's got the shield there. That is one of the pluses on the Stag. At least GEC is smart enough to know not to put a shield on Stag, at least most of the time. The shield actually looks a little crooked on there to me. Got the nice ringed bolsters or threaded bolsters, whatever you want to call it, brass liners, and a really pretty bone. Really do like it. The finger doesn't catch on the blade like it does on this one, but that's partly because this has been knocked down ever so slightly. Might be able to see it right there. I knocked it down ever so slightly with a Dremel tool to get it down a little bit more. And you can read the mark on the blade there. The etch on the blade. There we go. See, much clearer on there because, well, this one has been used a little bit more. But if you're careful, you can also still see the etch on this blade. This one is, like I said, something I use every day. I know a lot of people don't use any of their GECs. I use at least one of them. So we got that going for me. And then I got the other four more back here. Now, if you're looking for a lot of GEC knives, well, I've only got 8, so this isn't the place to go. There's plenty of people who have more than this. And I have shown most of these. This is in the India paintbrush jig bone. I didn't know what Indian paintbrush was. Somebody explained to me that it is a type of flower. And so the color is the Indian paint, and then it is a jigged bone. And this is a single bladed knife. What do they call this? It's a 38 special jack. That's what they called it. And it's a pretty nice knife too. I do like it. Notice there, it's basically a serpentine handle. I could see this being used for all sorts of other knives too. Like this would be a great frame for like a Whittler or something like that. But this is just a single bladed jackknife. And it has the blade that is very similar, but not quite the same as the toothpick blade. Notice it is slightly different. I believe they call this the muskrat blade. I don't know if they call that one the toothpick blade or this is the muskrat blade or this is the muskrat blade. One of them has the muskrat blade though. And we see there again, Northfield unexcelled on the blade. Yeah, it's funny how people who collect GEC don't complain about the blade edges, but when you start buying knives other than GEC, like if Case puts a blade edge on a knife or if Rough Rider puts a blade edge on the knife, you hear all sorts of complaints. But people look for that blade edge on their Northfield unexcelled knives and such, because it's a surefire way of showing that that blade has not been used and then just polished to make it look new again, because that blade edge is going to be gone or is not going to be as visible. So that's one of the reasons knives companies used to put a blade edge on there, I think, just so you know that it was a new knife. It was more than just advertising. But yeah, this is the 38 Special in Indian paint. And let me see here what else we got. I'm going to grab this one. This is the other Beavertail. If I would have known they were coming out with a different version of the Beavertail right after this one, I would have probably just grabbed the next one instead of this one. As it was, the one that came out after this sold out so quickly that I missed it. And so I was really looking at getting both of them, but that's about when things started going south, I think, and it became more and more difficult to buy a GEC. This one's a big one, and this is, what is it? Again, Brazilian Cherry. Is that right? Yeah, I left the lid off. Brazilian Cherry, and as you can see here, it is a trapper. Well, it's a jumbo trapper, really, but still it's a pretty cool knife. So I actually have a GEC that's a trapper, and I also have one Case trapper. I don't have a whole lot of knives that are trappers. I don't really consider this a trapper either, even though technically speaking it does have the blades of a trapper, but this is really a folding hunter. I mean, it's a big one. It's not a little knife. See right there, 4 5/8 inches, something like that. Yeah, about 4 5/8 inches long, closed. So about a ½ inch longer than your typical trapper, and obviously a lot thicker. And it also has that distinctive shape of the handle. I do love the flush top here. And you do not have that flush top on the Coke bottle. So a lot of people talk about that. It has a very strong pull, and you see there, some call this a drop point blade. I think they call it a clip blade, but really this is almost as close to a straight skinning blade as you're ever going to find on a knife. And another reason why I think of this more as a folding hunter. This is definitely a skinning blade. And then you have the spay blade on the other side. I don't know how you get away with calling that a spay blade other than the wide belly on there. But it does drop a little bit at the end here, and it does have not the sharpest point, and that is the purpose of the spay blade, so it won't penetrate entrails when you're slicing an animal open. So this is the GEC Beavertail Trapper. I would love to get a couple more Beavertail knives, but I am not going to play the GEC merry-go-round, chase them down. It's not my style. If I can get one get one at a fair price and get one without having to jump through hoops to get it, then I might consider it, but I'm not going to run for them. It's just not worth it. Next up, this is definitely one of my favorite. the Possum Skinner. This, I will rank these when I get finished here, which one I like the most, which one I like the least. I like them all, okay? So the order that I'm going to list them in is really very much a personal preference, but let's pop this one open. Get it out, and what we got here is the Possum Skinner. Now, they also made a similar knife that was a Stockman style knife. It had 3 blades, but this only has 2 blades on it. And, well, it is, if you notice, it looks very much like a muskrat, but it's not quite a muskrat. So let's get it out. Here's the very first blade, and now we'll know which blade is the muskrat blade and which one is the long clip. And, I think we can see right there. Not quite a muskrat blade. Is this more like the muskrat blade? No, that one is a little too short. So I don't know what this blade is. This is a long clip. This is a long clip. And this is their muskrat blade. And it is a really nice blade, as you can see. Another unexcelled, so it's got that etch on the blade. You've got the shield there, but look at the beautiful color of that bone, the elderberry wine. It is just gorgeous. And then the secondary blade on this knife is a really nice Wharncliffe. I really like this knife. This is just a gorgeous knife. I'm not a person who likes a lot of Wharncliffe blades, but this one is really good, and it makes sense on this knife because of it being a skinning knife. And the Wharncliffe, as you notice, is not the same length as the muskrat blade, the long, you could call it a California clip or the Spanish clip, whatever you want, or Turkish clip, but it's not the same length, which is one of the things that I also like about it. It's a long one, but it isn't that long, and it tucks in there nicely. So this is one of those knives that I really like, and I would love to see other people doing this. 1095 carbon steel on all these, by the way. And this one also has a double ring instead of a single ring. A couple of them, as you notice, this has no ring. This also has no ring. And well, obviously you don't have a ring on the barn door hinge. And that brings us to the last knife here, and that is the Conductor. Another pretty cool one that I really like a lot. And we'll pop that open. Also another one in Sandbar Stag. I only got 2 in Sandbar Stag. I wish I could have gotten more, but that's the way it is. And this one, the Stag looks better than it did on this knife by a long shot, but still, it's not nearly as pretty as the Sandbar Stag that you find on any of my case knives. That's just the fact. And as you can see, this is just a kind of an equal, well, it's a swell end, but it's an equal end, swell end pen knife. Or, I'm sorry, equal end, swell center, or it could also be referred to as a humpback because of the bump right there. And the blades you have on here is a clip blade, nice clip blade, nice wedge going on. As you can see, once again, no shield, but it is Northfield unexcelled. So you see that on the blade edge there. No shield. Usually this is the unexcelled shield that you see on a lot of the knives from Northfield. Oh, that one doesn't have it, but that's also an unexcelled, I believe. But there's the other one, Northfield unexcelled. And the other blade almost poked myself. The other blade you have on here is a pin blade, so that's pretty cool too. The 331, and that is the Conductor, and that's the last of the 8 Great Eastern cutlery knives that I have. I only have 8. Let's go through and put them in order of which one I like the best and which one is my least favorite. They're all good. I like them all. I'm glad I have all of them. Not planning on getting rid of any of them. So the knife that comes in 8th place, don't expect me to, don't contact me and say, hey, I'll buy that from you for blah, 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 because it's not for sale. I'm not getting rid of any of these. But let's start with the one I like the most, and then we'll work our way down. And the one I like the most is right here. It's the Beavertail Coke bottle. This is my favorite out of all the Great Eastern knives I have so far. And a big part of that is because of the beaver shield. I really like that beaver shield, and that is why I bought this knife to begin with. And I really like the Brazilian cherry wood. This is just wonderful jigged wood. I mean, it's not something you normally think of having jigged on a knife handle, but this is just gorgeous. I really like it. So we got that one. That's number 1. Let me move these over. Number 2 is the itty bitty Coke bottle. I really like the Templar. I know this is, for a lot of people, this would be their least favorite simply because of how small it is. A lot of people would think of it as being kind of gaudy, especially with the blue acrylic. I mean, acrylic, another word for swirly plastic, and a lot of people are turned off by the barn door hinges, but I really like barn door hinge knives, so that is why that comes in number 2. Now, number 3, well, you heard me talking about it, so it probably becomes pretty obvious. I really dig this knife, the Possum Skinner. I like everything about it. I like the name. I like the looks of it. Before getting this knife, matter of fact, for the longest time, muskrats were not a knife that I was really fond of. I have since grown to appreciate muskrats a whole lot more. And one of the reasons I've come to appreciate muskrats more is because of the Possum Skinner. So that's number 3. And number 4 is right here. I really dig the Conductor. Because I really like to collect small equal end pen knives, and this is like the creme de la creme, especially with the little humpback or the swell center going on there, the triple rings, the little pinch bolsters, and also the blade choices on here. I really like it. Plus, it's a genuine stag, so it's got a lot of good pluses going for it. Now, next in line is right here. This is the 38 Special. Now, this was gifted to me, so it has a lot of sentimental reasonings behind it, because the person who gave it to me was very gracious, and at the time I think I had 2 other GEC knives, and the person gave it to me so that I'd have another GEC knife, and that's not something to sneeze at when somebody gives you a knife that's worth $100 or more. So that was kind of cool, and it really impressed me. And because of those reasons, it could easily be placed higher than on this list. But the frame at first did not appeal to me at all. But the more I handled the knife and actually started doing things with it, did little things, nothing big. As you can tell, the blade has not been sharpened. There's no scratches on it or anything else. It wasn't like playing mumbly peg with it or anything like that. But I did do a few things with it, and I've held it a couple times, and I've grown to appreciate it to the point that I got other knives that were similarly shaped and used those as stunt doubles, and found out it's really a very practical knife shape and really a nice little knife. And so because of that, and the fact that it inspired me to get other knives that were shaped this way, I mean, that says a lot about it, because how many times have you had a knife in your hand and you used it, and even though it's in your collection, it's like, I'm not going to buy anything else like that again. You know, you have that feeling. I did not get this with this knife. I actually got this and it was like, this is a little more comfortable than I thought. And so I ended up buying other knives like this and used them occasionally, and it's kind of a cool knife. So that's why it's number 5. And number 6, looking back and forth going with this, the beaver here, the Beavertail on that knife really is very much appealing to me. I really like that. That is the main reason I picked it up. It is a trapper. However, I also really, really like the Great Eastern 4-inch toothpick. Their medium toothpick has that blade that has a lot more belly on it. And that belly, it turns this into, like, you know, you have those Stockman knives that have that skinny clip blade, and then you have the sow belly that has that wider belly clip blade on it. That's kind of what this toothpick is like. It's like a sow belly toothpick. You got the fatter handle. This is really just a joy of a knife to use and carry. And so this one's coming in at number 6. This one is coming in at number 7. I really like the cherry wood on there. I really dig the Beavertail, you know, the beaver shield. What I'm not too crazy about on this knife is how strong the pull is. It's got a very heavy pull on both blades. You can see that. Some people are going to like that. It's got a really great gator snap. If I was actually skinning animals and everything like that, I can see how that would be a very useful knife, but I'm not. And so that's why this one's coming in at 7. This one could have beat quite a few of these because, well, this is coming in at number 8. And it's not because it's used now, it's because of that. And that is also why this dropped a little lower than it should have. The fact that I had to actually grind down the kick on there to get this to drop. And I've also done it on this one, but even grinding down the kick on that has not been good enough on this knife. So I haven't sharpened it enough to change the blade geometry or the sharp, or the, you know, the thickness of the spine or thickness of the blade, especially at the tip. I have honed it quite a bit, and it really works real well, and I'm very happy to have it and like to use it, but it has some flaws. Look at the way that it's got the stag is just kind of drops down there. It's like not the best quality stag on this knife at all. And that's one, like I said, that's the main reason that one ended up in my pocket. This one ended up in my pocket, and this one ended up in my collection. Stag is harder to work with. I get that. It's a natural material. You can do more with bone than you can with stag, but GEC doesn't do that good with stag as far as I'm concerned. And that's why I ended up using this knife, and I'm very happy to use it. So there's my GEC knives. I think this video's gone long enough. I will have to show you the other stuff in that box on another day. Sorry about that, but hey, something to look forward to, especially if you're a Swiss Army fan, because that other, what's left in that box is a whole lot of Swiss Army knives that are usually stored somewhere than my usual Swiss Army collection. With that said, hope you enjoyed this, especially if you're a GEC fan. And you know what? If you're a GEC fan who chases the dream, more power to you. You're a more dedicated GEC fan than I am, and no fault, no blame, nothing like that. And I get it, you know. Just because I'm not willing to pay double the price on the secondary market Doesn't mean no one else should. I'm not one of those people. If that floats your boat and you're happy to do that, and because you want that knife and you believe that the quality of the knife is deserving of double the retail price, go for it. Know that I am not one of those people, especially if you're trying to do this in an open bid. Know that I'm not one of those people who is driving that bid up on you. Just not doing it. In any case, with that said, I will let you go. Hope you enjoyed this, everybody, and I will talk to you again soon. Let me take just a second to thank you once again for dropping by and spending a few minutes here at Knife Chats with Tobias. I really do appreciate it, and I do appreciate any comments that you leave. So please remember to give me that thumbs up, and also don't forget to subscribe and ring that notification bell so you'll know when the next episode is up and running. Thanks again for dropping by. Really do appreciate your time here.